and welcome to the Trading Bell Show. We are here at the headquarters of Marula Mining. Yes, you heard it right, mining, because we have some good news. Something has come in at the Nairobi Securities Exchange for the first time, a mining company. I'll be speaking to Jason, the CEO, to understand about the journey they are taking and how long this will take until we'll see that bell ring. But first, let's take a look at his profile and get started to the conversation. Jason Brewer is a highly qualified mining engineer with an honours master's degree from Imperial College, London. He holds extensive experience in global mining, particularly in the UK, Australia, Canada and South Africa. Formerly, he was associated with major investment banks specializing in financing mining projects, notably in Africa. He's also the founder of Gathoni Mushai Investments, actively engaged in the mining and metal sector. Currently, he's the CEO of Marula Mining PLC, a London-listed company focusing on battery metals, lithium production, and copper and graphite projects. Additionally, he serves as Executive Director at Shuka Minerals PLC and Chairman of Neo Energy Metals, specializing in uranium and energy metals. Jason, welcome to the show.
Pleasure, thank you.
Great to have you. Beautiful scenery here in the offices and a beautiful place as well that you have.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yes, the office is a great environment.
Yeah.
And headquartered here in Nairobi too, so where we should be.
Excellent. Okay. Let's start with the fact that our viewers would really want to understand and get to know Marula Mining. In a brief description, who is Marula Mining?
Marula Mining is currently a London-listed stock exchange mining company.
Yeah.
With all its activities focused here in East and Southern Africa.
Mm-hmm.
We focus on metals and commodities which are critical to the new energy transition, so used in electric vehicles and other key areas of where the future is taking us. So we have operations in South Africa, we have operations in Tanzania, in Zambia, and we're in the process of now acquiring a number of mining projects and mining operations here in Kenya too.
Oh, okay, that's great. We'll be getting to more of those details about your range of products and where you are. But first, behind the scenes, you told me that you're cross-listed as well in London. I think you've also mentioned it. And I'm keen to understand why the keen focus right now here in Kenya, and even why you're also headquartered here.
Look, Kenya is the headquarters for Marula Mining.
Okay.
The listing in London, it provides us that platform to access the international capital markets, to raise the necessary financing for us to develop our mines here in East and Southern Africa. I moved here to Kenya 3.5 years ago, initially for a 3-month spell.
Okay.
And I'm still here.
You're stuck.
I'm not stuck.
Which is good. It's good to be stuck.
Look, I fell in love with the country. I fell in love with the opportunities that working in Nairobi, working here in Kenya can provide. It's the entry point to Africa.
Yeah.
It's got a great work ethic and a great business center. And for me, building a business in East and Southern Africa, it was the perfect location. Now moving ahead with this listing on the Nairobi Stock Exchange, Nairobi Securities Exchange, as a company that's got its primary listing in London was very important for us. It gives our local partners and all key stakeholders the opportunity to participate directly in our business as shareholders. It's also a sign of the commitment that we're making to the region and to the country.
Okay.
So it's critical for us, for our future.
Okay, which is good. Let's talk about the factors that have driven the demand of minerals and what you've seen across the mining industry. First, I know here in the country we had a hiatus at some point. There was some regulatory issues that were coming along that, but it's good news to hear that things are happening here. What are you observing and what are the trends that you've seen?
Look, Marula Mining is focused on the metals such as lithium, copper, graphite, cobalt, all those commodities which you find in electric batteries, electric vehicles. So those metals, those commodities are in such tremendous demand globally. We all hear about how electric vehicles, the growth in demand has skyrocketed. And there is an insatiable demand for those metals. And without question, East and Southern Africa is the home to some of the most richest and most accessible mineral deposits of that kind.
You're right.
In Kenya, here, there was limitations on the ability for us to grow our business over the past number of years. The government and those involved in the Ministry of Mines have really put a concerted effort to turn that around. And we're buoyed by that, and we're aggressively seeking and looking to complete a number of transactions, a number of acquisitions in that sector here in Kenya now.
Yeah.
But demand has really driven a focus on these commodities, which before was never there. Graphite was never a commodity that had anything like the interest that it has now.
You're right.
Now East Africa is going to become the 6th largest producer of that metal in the world. And that's from a standing start a number of years ago.
Okay.
So that is a particular commodity we're focused in neighbouring Tanzania on, but also here in Kenya too.
Okay. You know, you've spoken about, and indeed the world is really moving towards, just green economies where we want to see sustainable ways of doing things without really messing the environment and all that. And with mobility, especially moving to the electrical side, I can really see that particular demand. Do you think this is feasible? Can we fully transition to that?
Look, Kenya is one of the best placed countries in the world for that. One of the very few countries in the world that's met all those key targets of the Paris Accord and so on. So can the world get there? I think it will. It will. It will. There's no question about that. And the momentum that has been built over the past decade in getting us there will continue. I actually think Kenya in particular is very well placed to emerge as Africa's largest, call it battery manufacturing center, where they can actually not just produce the raw metals, but actually produce the much more value-added aspects of that industry. Okay. And do it in such a way that it's being powered by that sustainable energy, be it the geothermal, the wind, the solar, which Kenya has in such abundance. You know, we produce lithium. We're mining lithium in South Africa. Call it the travesty. The sad side of it is that our power in South Africa for that mine comes from a coal-fired power station. You know, South Africa is dependent on coal-fired power stations for the majority of its power. To produce those sort of commodities here in Kenya, here in East Africa, from 100% renewable sources of energy is clearly something we're focused on, and where I think we'll look to work with local stakeholders to develop in the coming years too. Okay. Thanks for that. Let's now get into the conversation deeper on your listing journey. And I just want to understand, I'm curious to understand how you're navigating this, especially on your regulatory approvals and, of course, the expected listing dates. Look, we decided several months ago that the listing here in Nairobi was critical to the future success of our business. We engaged local advisors, so we're working with Fader Investment Bank. Very capable, very experienced, and they've certainly led us through that path. And it's a difficult one because, as you know, there hasn't been too many new listings. It's been some time. Yes, exactly. So, you know, we're treading new ground there, and this is a dual listing from our primary listing in London. And I think we're one of the first few there as well. And we're the first mining company. So it's a whole new sector for the exchange. So that has not created issues, it's created an opportunity. So working very much with the team at Fader, working very much with Mr. Jeff Adondo, the CEO of the NSE, they are so committed to getting us there. And unashamedly, I guess we're the slow party in this. They've been pushing us. We were hoping to have this done before the end of 2023. We've had to get a number of reports from a technical perspective, a legal and a financial perspective. They're all now completed, and Fader Investment Bank are just finalising that listing document, which I know from our discussions with Jeff down there at the exchange, and his discussions with the CMA and all his compliance team, that'll go through relatively quickly. And from a timetable point of view, in the first half of March, we're expected to be listed and trading here in Nairobi. Wow, we look forward to that, to you ringing the bell. Absolutely. So let's talk about the investor's perspective, because as you've seen, you're cross-listed as well. They could be watching and wondering, okay, what does Jason has in store for us in terms of expectations for the investors? Of course, look, we are there's many mining companies which are just focused on that exploration stage. Companies which just identify an opportunity and then more often than not get taken over by a larger company. Our focus is very much on developing new mines. So over the course of 2023, we brought into production a new lithium mine in South Africa. And over the course of 2024, you'll see that increase its production and its sales of lithium ore into the international markets. And the earnings of that will increase substantially over 2024. There's no question about that. It's a very low-cost operation and one that even in a low-price environment in the lithium market can generate substantial returns for us. So we're buoyed by that. In parallel with that mine development, we've been accelerating our activities in neighboring Tanzania, where we have a copper mine, which will commence production in the second quarter of this year. And again, copper is another key and critical metal in the transition to new energies, to the green energies, to electric vehicles. So we're very positive about how that will translate over 2024 in terms of its impact on our earnings, our profits, and our revenue generation. We then have a series of graphite projects in Tanzania as well, around Moshi and on the coast by Bagamoyo. We're anticipating that in the second half of this year, towards the end of the year, we will commence production at least one of those three projects. And again, graphite is in tremendous demand at the moment. Again, used in electric vehicles, in batteries. So again, that will materially impact our earnings and profitability of the group. We announced a dividend policy just before the Christmas period. And within that, we set out quite clearly the principles which would determine as and when we make those dividends. And we are aiming to make our first dividend at the end of 2024. So we're really focused on rewarding shareholders, not just in terms of dividend payments, but in terms of share price appreciation. Over the past 12 months, our share price has gone up 7.5 times. So investors that supported us very early on have seen a very strong return on their investment in the company. We're anticipating continued growth in our share price and in our earnings potential. So when investors look at us, they should be looking at that growth of our company going forward, the support we have from some of our key shareholders, and the projects and the commodities that we're looking at as well.
One of the key things that has always been a challenge for a lot of investors and people who really want to create shared value to investors is capital raising. I'm curious to know, apart from just that, if it's one of your challenges, what other headwinds have you faced in this entire process?
Look,